140 years in, and we continue to fill the world with color. Our innovation has sparked opportunities and brightened lives. It all starts with groundbreaking research at our world-leading facilities and the synergy of our diverse Nippon Paint Asia family. We're proud of how we have worked hand in hand to emerge as Asia's #1 paint and coatings manufacturer. Through it all, we have fulfilled our brand promise to innovate with heart and celebrate our people, the beating heart of everything we do. So we empower them with the skills they need to truly soar. And we envision a future where people and the planet can thrive together. We dream big and in bold Technicolor. So we go beyond producing coatings to light up as many lives as we can. Our coatings have transformed motor vehicles all over the region, and they keep industrial powerhouses running smoothly and efficiently, and provide environmentally responsible protection for maritime vessels. Durable and weather-resistant, they help architects and developers bring their visions to life. We innovate ahead of the game with products that protect us in today's new normal and lay the foundations for a safer future. We also give our consumers more than paint, offering them design services that truly turn a house into a home. We are Nippon Paint. We harness the brilliance of innovation because we
are inspired by you.
The world is truly extraordinary, filled with amazing wonders of nature and breathtaking sceneries in which every human being is unique in their own special way. We are all different in genders, ages, and identities, from diverse family backgrounds, regions, ethnicities, and cultures. We do have one thing in common: ideas. From the things we have seen, the experiences we have gained, and our exposure to the world, we generate infinite ideas to contribute to our society's social, economic, and cultural values, to help build and enhance the world we live in. The world needs change now more than ever, and a push for revolutionary innovation which will thrust us towards improving the quality of our lives. AYDA is determined to positively build a community of enthusiastic, outstanding, and compassionate spatial designers. We believe we can provide more to the world through our efforts. Founded in 2008, AYDA aims to help nurture the talents of tomorrow, together with leading architects and interior designers of our generation. Over the years, AYDA has evolved to become an international community. We have grown beyond just being an awards competition, but a holistic growth accelerator and community for design enthusiasts, both students and practicing professionals. By working closely with our network of passionate mentors and judges, the AYDA journey offers hands-on and out-of-classroom experience for our student participants. This is vital in helping young designers reach maturity upon graduating and entering the world of spatial design with a socially conscious heart in their pocket. Through the valuable sharing and guidance from our outstanding mentors and lecturers, our participants will acquire relevant technical skills, explore being creative with designs, and be able to better understand market needs. Many of our beloved alumni are on an ongoing journey to better impact the future by interpreting the pinnacle of good designs. Since 2018, AYDA has been awarding our international winners an opportunity to attend the Design Discovery Program by Harvard University's Graduate School of Design, with all expenses paid. Unfortunately, in 2020, COVID-19 swooped in and struck us, but AYDA has never stopped being resilient against the sudden surge of negativity. We believe in preserving hardship and embracing innovation until the day we can harvest the fruit of our success. Despite the pandemic, partnering educational institutions globally share our sentiment. The number of entries did not dwindle, and participating students' morale alongside their mentors has never been stronger. With AYDA going beyond Asia, we are persistently amplifying creativity and unearthing hidden talents within every young designer. We will continue to encourage our future young leaders to be bold, innovative, and committed to changing the world with significant impact. Be part of the AYDA family and join us in cultivating passionate design communities.
AYDA Awards by Nippon Paint is one of the longest-running and largest student design awards in Asia. 15 years in the making, AYDA has worked closely with more than 1,200 educational institutions and has received more than 41,000 entries. AYDA worked closely with professionals to help forge a closely knitted design community with heart. It is truly an opportunity like none other. If you're currently an architectural or interior design student, here's your chance to shine. This year's challenge highlights the reality and consequences the COVID-19 pandemic has left behind, hence creating a holistic spatial design that promotes wholesome wellness to help us and the world rejuvenate. Your design is the catalyst where people can learn to lead a balanced lifestyle and in unison with nature. A well-designed space should promote collaborative relationships between people and their surrounding environment, man-made spaces or Mother Nature alike. By embracing the concept of convergence, you are to be more open-minded and keener to know your community's latest trends and needs and communicate that to the world. We look forward to receiving your innovative ideas, which will help you win the grand title of AYDA International Awards, which is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to attend an all-expenses-paid design discovery program at Harvard University's Graduate School of Design, worth up to $10,000. On top of that, you will gain access to a network of AYDA alumni across Asia to help strengthen your perspectives and connections around the world. So here's what we're looking for. Design concept. A design that fulfills an innate human need or helps solve a problem. Functionality. A versatile design that supports people, activities, and changes in life. Design innovation. A design which maximizes or leverages tech-enabled connectivity and/or intelligence. Sustainability and relevance. A design which comprises sustainable and eco-friendly elements, which helps preserve the natural environment. Aesthetic and visual impact. A design which is aesthetically pleasing and effectively integrates social and cultural aspects for the users. Color usage. A design which showcases a brilliant display of balance between colors, materials, and design outputs, as well as brilliant and creative use of colors as part of the design solution. Delivery and presence. We look forward to having you at the national and international finals, where you will be delivering your ideas in front of a panel of professional judges. Will you be the next AYDA Awards winner? Good luck and see you there! Join AYDA Awards via www.asiayoungdesigner.awards.com or follow us on our social media platforms. Or simply speak to your lecturers or faculty members who are involved. All the best, and we hope to have you join the AYDA community. See you!
Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, no matter where you're from around the world. Greetings, my name is Brandon and welcome to the AYDA Awards webinar, the first one for 2022. So what we're going to do today is we have two amazing speakers who are long-serving judges and mentors of AYDA Awards, and what they'll do is they'll walk us through the new overarching theme of AYDA called Converge. So for the past 5 years, we've been doing forward, and then I think the pandemic has helped us realize the world is way more connected than we imagine, and the world may be huge and we are different in terms of nationality, culture, language, beliefs, the way we're brought up, our favorite food. But there is one thing I think as designers of the future, what we want to learn is how do we bring solutions that are applicable to different communities through AYDA Awards. So it's a conceptual-based competition for students and for mentors to mentor your students. So the idea is I want to hear from two of our international panel who have helped design the Converge process to help us understand their perspective and, more importantly, what they would like to see from this year's entry. So joining us today, we have architect Daniel and architect Jabin. Both are amazing, amazing architects, and I will let them tell you their story. And also, round of applause to Daniel and Jabin. Hi, welcome, welcome. Good morning to Jabin and good afternoon to Daniel. So architect Jabin, let's start from you maybe. Maybe you can help us understand a bit about yourself. And also, remember we talked about that one experience of conversion that you remember till today. Architect Jabin, you want to start first? Yeah.
Good morning, all of you. I think Brenton already gave a very amazing description about me, that it is amazing, amazing, and amazing. Let me just take a moment and introduce the real me in a way in which I can connect to the students. I'm not that amazing architect always. I'm a small town girl from a plantation village. 40 years ago, I didn't know what architecture was and what interior design was. And frankly, I'm not sure even after 40 years, I now know about it. I'm a constant learner. All the doubts, fears, apprehensions which all of us face while we approach every design solution is there with me also. So I think to introduce me, I am a pilgrim who search for the real meaning of space and design and a constant learner. And I'm so privileged with you today to be with the students and the lecturers and with the AYDA team. To share an experience where I had to really take away everything I have studied so far and then converge with an entirely different mindset and push a reset button to get something accomplished. I think I have so many projects, but one favorite one. I was designing the Meridian resorts at Kovalam, India. And it was a huge property. And everybody was looking forward to this grand finale opening. We were in 2010 March and we were to get everything ready by December and we went ahead. It is a task because in Kerala it rains like anything. And then into like June, we find that it cannot come through. And we informed the Meridian that no, it is not possible this year, but only next year. However, this message didn't get to Meridian. They had started taking bookings. And October, I am told that we have to get these things ready, at least 33 chalets ready, because otherwise they are going to be sued for millions from tourist groups from UK and US. And I told them, I'm your architect, not your contractor. They said, we don't know who you are. We trust you to make this happen. At that moment, I shed my coat of architect or interior designer, had the entire team together, everybody moving into the site, literally living there, and in 90 days, air conditioning engineers, plumbing engineers, interior designers, carpenters, laborers, landscapers, we came together like a team because there was only one goal: save the project. Similarly, here today, what the situation we are facing is save the planet. Whoever you are, you will be from different fields. Come, converge and reset a button, push that button so that we can save the world with design. Thank you.
Thank you, Japin. That is indeed amazing. I mean, small town girl doesn't know design, 40 years of pilgrimage. You know what? That makes you amazing. That makes, I think, everyone amazing. So thank you, Japin. Take a quick break. I'll go to Daniel. Daniel, what amazing stories do you have? Do tell.
Well, that's an amazing story from architect Japin. So I believe you have already done a professional description about myself. So I'm going to give a more personal view of myself. Yeah. I'm a 59 years old architect who's very aware of my own mortality, and I have a short runway. Yeah, may not even be able to take off unless I'm a helicopter. But for the students, they're just starting out, aspiring architects. I mean, they will have a long runway ahead of them. So for me, at this stage of my life, I would be very grateful and wish to kind of impart some of the knowledge and the experience I've gained over in the past 30 over years to help some of the students to transition from the more academic side of architecture to the practice, the real world practice of architecture, which can be quite different. So I'd like to move on and talk a little bit about architecture. Well, architecture has been good to me. It has provided decent life for my family. I'm by no means rich, yeah. So don't be mistaken. Rich is when money works for you, yeah. So I still have to work very hard, but there's no doubt that architecture is hard. Yeah, don't be disheartened. It's hard because we have to deal with long hours. We have to deal with very demanding situation like architect Japin just described, and also at times clueless clients even. Yeah. So, and another testimony of it is also the high rate of attrition of young architects who has moved over to the dark side. Yeah. It's a common occurrence in our profession, but fret not. For those who have a passion, a heart for the profession, and a conviction and a flair of design and creativity, I'm sure you will prevail and find work to be very fulfilling, like you do. Yeah. I would like to basically talk about an issue whereby I believe is a matter of time. It's not a matter of if it will happen, it's a matter of time. Yeah, we're dealing in the real world here with some forces of nature here. Okay, sorry, before we go to that, I want to talk a little bit about converge. In terms of defining it in my own words, basically converge implies plurality, yeah, more than one thing coming together. And I believe it also have a sense of timing and inevitability. Yeah, it's inevitable that things happen, converge together. Many things in life are pluralistic, like the roles we play in our life, and requirements that we have to achieve in our design. And it's not easy, as we will see in this example. All right. Now, the phenomenon of nature that I want to talk about basically is three things that converge together. We all know the natural occurrence of high tides, which is actually a result of the gravity pull of the moon on Earth. So we have high tides at a certain day of the month, according to the lunar calendar. Then, of course, the second event is global warming, which is caused by the emission of greenhouse gases, which burn a hole in the ozone layers and resulting in the melting of the polar ice cap and then coastal flooding and all that kind of things. Then the last event, which, you know, depending on the will of God, is of course torrential rain and storms, during the monsoon seasons. So the writing is on the wall, obviously, is when is this going to happen, not if it's going to happen. So if it happens at the time when all three of these converge, then we have a big disaster in our hands. And then we as architects, of course, shape the built environment, would have a small role to play. But of course, the main responsibility would fall onto the government and what they're going to do about it, how they're going to tame this this nature. And it's difficult. I mean, the Indonesian government is planning to move the capital from the sinking Jakarta to Kalimantan, and the Netherlands through engineering, building these dike, dredging their water channels, and studying where the watershed and floodplains are, and moving the populated area away from the danger zone. So I think water is no doubt a life-giving element, but water can also take away many lives and cause many damages and hardship to people.
Okay, Architect Daniel. Okay, I'm just going to pause you there because it's quite a bit to digest. So let me just summarize for our audience. Basically, what you mean and what Architect Jabin mean, converge, of course, is a convergence of many, many things. It could be everyone putting down their identity and go into saving a project, or it could be working closely with communities and the government to solve, like what you mentioned on global climate change, on a lot of challenges that we see in communities, which I think I recall you do have some amazing pictures you want to show us to walk us through your inspiration board later. So we'll go back to that later. But before we go back into, before we move into the theme of the year, which is reset, I also want to hear from Architect Jabin. Just now you mentioned one perspective of convergence, where everyone that's your experience, right? Everyone putting things down and then getting into doing things. So I also want to hear from both of you. We'll start from Jabin first. Is also, what would you like to see from this year's entry when it comes to converge and reset? Maybe your perspective, your definition and all. So Jabin can start and then we'll go back to Daniel, then we'll continue to roll into our next session. Yes, Jabin, over to you.
So this theme is quite interesting. Congratulations for coming up with that theme. Convergence, to understand, whenever it's my usual exercise, whenever I am kind of, indulging in a design or understanding a new theme, I look at the dictionary. So if you look at the meaning of converge, right from the dictionary, it says to tend or move toward one point or one another. Yes. There are key words here. To tend, to move is important. We have to move to one point or to one another. Forget about the thing. What a beautiful, inspiring thought for the times today. We are coming together moving towards one another or one point, which is actually to the interest of the world where we are going.
Mhm.
Now, to understand this word or any word completely, I really think it is also necessary to understand the opposite of that word. Converge, opposite is diverge. Diverge is to move away into different directions, right? So, in order to converge, we have to imagine ourselves coming from divergent positions. So in today's scientific world, there are two philosophies like convergent thinking and divergent thinking. Convergent thinking is when we all come together for one purpose on a rational basis. There's one solution, and it is a logical, rational solutions we are after. Divergent thinking is going away and exploring all the possible solutions. Convergent thinking is single-minded focused. Divergent thinking is different but more creative. A problem? Not really. Because both happens for one single purpose, for a better solution. For design, particularly I think, when we are talking about convergence, it is not about going single-mindedly towards a point, but we, the amazing designers, with the all-over outlook we have, go away from each other, gather all those gems of wisdom and knowledge you can have, cover the entire perspective, be creative, and then bring all this and put it into a melting pot where we converge and push reset. That solution which comes out of that melting pot or crucible, where designers, after converging and exploring different ideas, put it together for a very creative and single-driven, purpose-driven idea. That is what is the beauty of it.
Thank you, Architect Jabin, on your convergence. And I think both of you spoke about convergence with, of course, we are all converging. You guys are speaking at the same direction, just maybe slightly different focus. So back to you, Architect Daniel. You mentioned just now when it comes to convergence and solving problems, it's not just us. It's also how communities and governments are in place. And then, you know, we are all in this crucible together, like how Jabin said. Can you elaborate more? Like, so look, let's say I am a student, right, guys? I'm a student, I am learning architecture and interior design. How do I then learn about these things and then include them into my work? You know, like any tips, any procedures, or any important things that people should remember when they are taking on the challenge of Converge pushing the reset button? Yeah, maybe Daniel can go first this time. Yeah.
Many things in life is actually a converging occurrence, natural occurrences, as I spoke about, and also especially in the profession of architecture. As an architect, actually we do not work alone. We actually collaborate with many different professionals, with government bodies, with clients, with contractors. So it's in a way actually is the convergence of the skill set by many different trades, professionals, and all that to put a common purpose of achieving a good built environment for the people. After all, I mean, we are designing for the people. We are designing for the future. But we must understand that we must understand the world that we are living in right now, what is happening around us. And as architects, designers, we need to be able to design based on what we know today, but for the future. That itself is actually a converging of two requirements, two elements. Designing now for the present. Designing in the present, but for the future. And it is difficult to know what the future holds. We are looking at many new phenomena like artificial intelligence, space explorations, and things like that. But this conversion topic, when we as the panel first broached this, in fact, I was actually a little bit worried that it was be quite narrow. But after lengthy debate among the panelists, I realized actually that it is actually very broad-based, and the interpretation by the students and the educator would be from various angles. I think it is broad enough for the students to have a field day in terms of preparing for the project for this award. Yeah.
Thanks, Daniel, for saying just that thought process of how it's being broad or it's narrow. So there are a lot of concerns raised by students and lecturers and mentors throughout all the 16, 17 geographical locations we are at. So they are, just to get everyone on the same page, right? So there are universities and colleges that come to me and tell me like, oh, Brandon, the theme is too broad, we don't know where to start. And if we go too narrow, then we will stray away from the university's general curriculum. So it's very hard for students to participate. Of course, we have some outstanding university partners where they actually brought AYDA into becoming part of their curriculum, which I'm very proud, very happy. And you know, then students get to be thrown into that whole critical thinking and design thinking process on how to make the world a better place. So one thing I caught from Daniel, which I will ask both of you to elaborate. Okay, so how do we, I know that predicting the future is not exactly something we can just do, but what can we do to prepare our students, ourselves, to designing more foolproof designs for the future? You know, how do you guys do it? You guys have been in the business for a while, you're experienced, you were designing for, you know, for many years. So how do we then foresee, or how do we find criteria or elements that we need to look at when we're trying to design in the present for the future, especially with a life post-pandemic, with a life that, you know, the economy is recovering, you know? How would you advise students to take on this challenge? Yeah, let's go with Jabin, and then we go to Daniel. Jabin, over to you.
Yes, that's a real difficult but very essential question. One thing I would really advise students is not to listen to us when it comes to designing. You know, you are the future. We could be the, you know, deterrence in your thinking process. So when I design myself, I make sure that I am sitting with a blank mind and a very clear, clean canvas, a blank white sheet of paper, and then I meditate. I practice design from a very holistic point of view, without any preset notions or ideas coming to kind of influence any of my designs. This is my advice to you also. There may be a past, present, or future. But for me, it is relevance irrespective of times. Because as architects, we are created to learn from the past, be in the present, and even imagine a little bit of the future. Now, more than ever, we can do that because future is uncertain. Change is the most consistent, which means you cannot really predict future at all. So what could be relevant is for us to decide. So what I would advise, step one is to delete. Delete everything you have, maybe learned or collected or anything, and start afresh on every new project. Secondly, maybe we can take a clue from the last point I was saying, diverge. Look into all the aspects which can influence the design, and through design people, and through people the times. Go ahead, be creative, be daring, be bold, think out of the box. Step two is diverge. Three is discuss. Design is no more an individual kind of activity now. It engages so many people, including users, their neighbors, everybody, the neighborhood, everything is included. So you have to come together and discuss. And when you discuss, it even means like you have to research on similar projects, what others did. So it's a collective process wherein we discuss. And then don't be convinced, debate. Debate is the fourth step. And then finally, you kind of converge with all your ideas, push the reset button, and you will have a stupid solution, I suppose. If so, very good. Because most often, when we think differently, we think of it as a stupid ideas. Otherwise, how can it come from me? No, you are a good designer. If you can go through all these steps, what finally will strike you would be the most relevant answer to your design. So be a daredevil and delete, diverge, discuss, debate, then converge and push the reset button. That would be my advice.
Thank you, Jabin, for sharing. I like how we invite everyone here and then we tell them don't listen to us. I think that is very that is very adorable. No, but it is true to an extent because I have heard from our past year finalists. So before I go to you, Daniel, just one quick story. So every year, every country will send a finalist to me, and then I kind of train them how to tell stories before I send them to the international presentation. And there are students who would come to me and say, my lecturers never had hope on me. So a lot of our finalists, turns out, was never the top priority for the lecturers. Lecturers weren't expecting that these students would win, and turns out they became winners for the countries, and they became our international winner, and then they're going to go to Harvard for the XChange, for the design discovery program. So I guess there is one truth in this, is you always listen with a pinch of salt. You listened, then you see what is relevant to your design and to your audience and to your users before you decide if our mentors and judges and lecturers are on the right track, or are we aligning with your design, I guess. Yeah. Thank you, Jabin. Daniel, what is your foolproof way of designing for the future? Because I remember you talking about the past, the future, the time continuum that you're always talking about. Yeah, can you just share more? Like, what can students do at this point?
For students participating in this AYDA award, whether you win or lose is not that important. The experience of participating, the interaction with your educator, your peers, and also with the professionals in your region and internationally, that would bring a lot of good to you as you transition from the academic world to the real world practice of architecture. Yeah. So going back to the issue about understanding what is going on in the present and then using that to design for the future. Let me just list a few things that is going on now in the world, right? We're dealing with the pandemic, obviously. We have a war that's going on. Then we have a technological advancement like drones, AI, and all that, genome sequencing and therapy. We have the Hyperloop, we have EVs and all this kind of thing. Then we have the sad situation of the depletion of the natural resources like the aquifers and deforestation and all that kind of things. And obviously, we have pollution, air, noise, radioactive contamination, and all that. And also, I want to talk about one human behavior, which I'm going to elaborate a little bit, is hoarding and wastefulness. I mean, this is all going on around us. So I'm talking more in the broader sense, not just in the mind, aware. And some of these things are obviously causing a lot of damage and things like that. So as architect, I think first of all, we must recognize we are part of the human being race. Yeah. So we need to actually lead examine life. We need to adopt more biophilic consideration for the others. I mean, share this planet with many other people with lives with the animals and plants and things like that. It's not just belongs to us, and we have no rights to actually abuse and damage it. So we hope that by leading a more examined life, more biophilic consideration, that we would live and we will leave this place in the better state. Yeah.
Yes.
Later on, I don't want to take too much time now, but I'm going to touch about this wastefulness,
Mm,
and I'm going to talk about the tiny house movement.
mm.
I'm going back to the basics and things like that.
Yeah. I like how both of you we all, of course, all three of us tell the same story because we design Converge together with our other advisory panel members. But I also love how the way you guys share it in your own way. So the next part, we're going to take a quick break. The next part is where Daniel has prepared a long list of things we can work on. Amazing, I've seen it already. And Japin, I know you have that keyword later on imagine. So yeah, that's very exciting. Let's take a quick break and we'll come back for part 2 where Architect Japin and Architect Daniel will share more about what is Converge in their perspective and breaking it down so we can take on AYDA Awards 2022, not just for the grand winner, of course we all want to win, but on top of that is also the out-of-classroom experience, the practical experiences, the engagement with your mentors, your educators, judges in your region, and learning how to be a stronger and socially conscious designer before you enter the industry. So thank you everyone, we'll see you at part 2. See you.
Hi, I'm Tanay. I'm an architect and a self-taught photographer from Pune, India. I'm the winner of Asia Young Designer Award 2018-19 Architecture category. I got to know about this competition through my seniors in college. I eventually applied for the competition. While going to Chennai, I was kind of excited as well, but nervous because, this was my first time in front of such huge audience. When we reached Chennai, on the first day we had the mentoring session by Ethos, where they explained about how do you present at nationals, how do you put forth your project, put forth your story in front of the jury members who are there. The moment when they announced the gold winner and when they called out the name, that was the astonishing moment. I was super proud that I won, and now I'll be representing India at the Pan Asia level in Singapore. The first day was the mentorship session arranged by Nippon Paint. All the students, all the finalists from 15 different Asian countries were together. The kind of energy, the kind of excitement of being together was at its peak. Subconsciously, you have that in mind that you are presenting in front of very eminent architects who have inspired you through their work, and you are now presenting in your work in front of them. So it's an honor as well, and a kind of big bag on your back. We were learning from each other, and big platform for a student who is recently graduated. So after the presentations, Nippon team took all the contestants and the jury members to a kind of short Singapore tour, and we did the boat ride around the river, and they explained about the architecture in Singapore and what stuff is coming, the technology, the architecture, the landscape. In this journey, I made a lot of friends. My roommate was from China, and all the other friends from Thailand, Vietnam. So it was a kind of quick form family with us, all the young budding students, everyone so talented was just coming together and having fun. So before the award ceremony, we had the presentations by eminent architects from Japan, from Singapore, of how the urban designing came and changed the Singapore completely, as now we look at as the successful model of urban planning. And all the lectures were very inspiring, but somewhere down the mind everyone was waiting for that moment of the award, the announcement of the award. And finally that moment came, and I won the title award for the architecture category. It was the first time India won this award in the 11 years of AYDA.
Now to announce the winner of the Asia Young Designer Award for the architecture category, I would like to invite Mr. Wee back on stage.
And the winner, Mr. Tani Narendra Botara from India.
So it was a very, very proud moment for me and India as well. So after winning the award, I knew that I was now going to Harvard for the 6 weeks design course, fully sponsored by Nippon, and I guess that was a dream come true moment for me. You know, it's Harvard. It's every architect's dream to go there and study there. It's winning this award was a huge thing because like my life changed overnight. You know, before the award, I was just another student who was studying architecture and who had participated in AYDA. And after winning the award, you know, it changes completely. It just like kind of living a celebrity life for a moment. So after coming, many interviews were lined up with the national newspapers, the international magazines, and now I was heading to Harvard. This award had just opened doors for me at such a reputed university. And yeah, the next day was the registration day, the day when we were starting our program. We were now introduced to how the program would be, the modules of the program, and how we would be curated in 6 weeks. And my fellow course-mates were from all around the world, aging from 18 to 50 years old. The thoughts of designing which were coming in weren't just from the people who are from designing background, but there were students from medical background, music background, physics, chemistry, maths, and just name it, they are there. So this wasn't a typical studio where all the architects are coming together and learning, but this was a kind of studio where young students are coming in and putting in their thought of what designing should be. And throughout the program, my perception of looking to architecture, perceiving spaces completely changed, and I feel like, you know, I kind of got a little matured in terms of designing. I am kind of very happy that my journey landed me here, and in retrospect, I would like to say that, you know, kind of seize every opportunity you get, because you never know. It was just one task for me to apply for the competition. It completely changed my life. Participate in this competition. It's rather than competition, this is a very interesting journey of learning from others, learning from your colleagues, all the talents from all around the Asian countries, from the jury members, from the mentor sessions which happen. So I guess it's a wholesome design experience which Nippon has created through AYDA Award, and I'm super proud that I was the part of this.
Okay, moving along from the theme of reset, the need to reset, and also about the attitude of hoarding and wastefulness. I think I want to go in a little bit about new movement, not really new, but it's been going on for a while, about going back to the basics, whereby we basically only use what we truly need. So there's this movement around in the Western, mostly in the Western countries, and also starting in Asia now, about tiny houses and offices. Now, this movement is a result of obviously of lifestyle choices, affordability, economic pressure, hardship. You know what is going on around us, the pandemic, the war, and all the other. Then also about long-term sustainability and a less wasteful mindset. Yeah. So we have some images here of modern houses, and some are actually quite small, maybe around 40 to 50 square meter, even smaller than the one-bedroom apartment that I'm currently living on right now. And many of these people are basically finding the joy of life and living in a very basic way, where the tiny house and the offices basically fulfill all their daily needs for shelter, for work, you know, a place of safety and things like that. So there is no need for people with a family of say 3 or 4 living in a 4-story house with 8 rooms and 6 bathrooms and things like that. Is really quite a peaceful kind of thing. But of course, that is the trend before, bigger and bigger. Yeah, and then we have the trend that is in the past and also still going on about building higher and higher. I mean, we have the mile high towers and things like that. Good luck to them during when power outage and the lift not working, and at the same time the generator break down. So I think what I want to show to the students are some of these images, tiny houses, often done in a modern way, and also done in a very vernacular housing, using local material like timber that is found within their region and things like that. And then, for example, one that is done more futuristic kind of way. So I think I'm a big fan of going back to the basic and living within our means and not be wasteful. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Architect Daniel, for talking about tiny houses and maybe living for only what we need. So, okay, this is where, okay, I'm going to confess, I am no Marie Kondo. I really like to buy things. I don't know, consumerism is a big part of my life, maybe because I'm raised by a fashion designer. My mother is a shopaholic, I'm raised like that environment. So I don't know, help me understand, how do we live a life like that? Architect Jabi, what do you think? Like living in tiny houses, what's the trend here? And no, because to me, it's not just about living there, but your whole shift in lifestyle, in energy consumption, in behavior. So, yeah, please enlighten me, guys. Yeah, maybe Jabi can go first. Yeah.
I was so happy to see that project, the tiny house, and I would really like to move into one. And for you, Brenton, I have a saying from one of the most famous architects of the times, Charles Correa. People live not in houses. They live on memories and their stories. So I really believe that whatever we do, it could be a 20,000 square feet house or maybe a 200 square feet house. We are all actually designing a knapsack. We are travelers on this planet. What we carry is actually that little knapsack or a backpack, okay? And we have our memories and stories which keep us going. We live with our hearts, and our head should work towards making our hearts live happy life. And I think the smaller we get or the more basic we go, we actually invent and discover more of ourselves. So you should do that, Brenton, and kind of explore these small houses. I basically love the idea. I don't even believe in the idea of houses. For me, under a shade of a tree, what a wonderful house. What a wonderful house. What a wonderful luxury is to live under a tree. But then it is taking a little bit too far. But I'm saying, this is our genes. We are a sapient race who are, migrating. Staying somewhere in big houses is not in our genes also. Thank you.
Thank you, Jabin. Yeah, it's so poetic, so beautiful, and it's so, I cannot relate. No, just coming from, okay, I grew up in a small town, yes, but I've always been surrounded by technology. I come from a generation where I cannot live without Wi-Fi. I'll probably, faint if there's no internet. But yeah, actually, Daniel, when you were compiling these tiny houses, what was going through your head? Tell us more. Like what is your perspective in terms of will you live there? Will cities be built like this? What trend do you see, or what trend do you foresee?
I would definitely love to live one, and I'll tell you. My idea of the tiny house, basically, as shown in some of the images, is basically something that able to get your internet Wi-Fi connection. You will have a place to rest at night. You will have a place to prepare your food and all that. But all that confined within a very small space. In fact, in Hong Kong, we all are aware of the crowding and density in Hong Kong. That there is a young architect in many years ago shown a video where he had a small apartment and he lives alone and he can only be in one space at a time. So when he's in the living room, he doesn't need the bedroom. So when he wants the bedroom to rest, he would transform his living space into a bedroom. His kitchen were all kind of like cabinets that were folded up into the wall panels and things like that. If he needs to cook or prepare some simple food, he could just pull all these cabinets and equipments down from the wall. So he lives in a transformed space, and he lives alone. So when he needs to use the bathroom, he doesn't need a bedroom. He in one space at one time. So he was very, very creatively designed, and how he want to live. And he created all that as a young architect. I mean, salute to him. His project was excellent. So therefore, I'm very taken by like that example, and then also about this and also about van life. There are many people who are actually living a very mobile kind of life, where actually move from city to city, seek employment and because these are factors in the world that forces us to have to change and reset. So no longer just say we grew up here, we study in our hometown, and then we want to work and live our whole life in that place. We may be forced to move to another place. Like for me, I'm a Malaysian and I'm working in Vietnam for the last 15 or 16 years. So I think the time has come where we need to be very mobile, and by mobile, you can't bring along your 4-story houses with 8 bedrooms and 6 bathrooms with you. So I think it's good for one to be able to adapt to the new environment and consider the prospect of actually living within our means and living within a smaller space and not we conserve some of these natural resources this world.
If you put it that way, then I understand. So it's about mobility, about versatility, about longevity, as in the space can last a longer time. And I think most importantly is also that in a way it's like a modular kind of design and set up, right, to fit the needs of more types of communities and people. So yeah, if you put it that way, yes. If there's Wi-Fi, if there's electricity, then yes, I would definitely live like that.
Not in our Wi-Fi.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're on Wi-Fi, that's why we're online. But yeah, thank you. Thanks for sharing, Architect Daniel, on the concept of tiny houses and how it can be deployed as a reset way, a way to relook at the way we want to live our lives and the way we want to consume energy and the everly depleting resources. So let's take a break from you, Daniel. We'll go to Jabin. I know, Jabin, you are extremely poetic. You are a multidisciplinary artist. You do a lot of stuff. So I know your keyword for your presentation is imagine. So I would leave the time to you. Thank you.
Hi. I want to share a very unique and different project with all of you, particularly putting in focus that this is to mentor students who would want to compete with their full force in the AYDA upcoming awards. How to go about it? Let me give you some clues through this amazing project. Basically, it is not done by me. I have selected this very, very purposefully because you would be then exposed to an array of designers instead of just me or one designer. Students, if you look at it, the one thing which architects and designers do or are supposed to do are imagine, dream. So this project is about 11 designers from 9 countries coming together to share the pain and hope which was set by COVID pandemic, lost, but exploring how to come together and be winners. This is an imagined gallery where these 11 designers have brought up their products and their spaces, also sharing their unique philosophy of how they thought about this project from each of their perspective and what was on their mind. So I will share the website with you so that you will be then, even after this presentation, go and explore for yourself the thought process, the design process, everything which went into this. And I think it can hugely benefit you, not only for this awards, but also into the future. Let's go to the website of Imagined for Uncertain Times. Of course, we know that COVID is one particular set moment in history where an uncertainty kind of came and struck us. If you look at this page, look at your right side. You can see 11 designers, the numbers are there, but it's not in series. It goes like, starts from 2 and it's so erratic. So I interacted with designers and I tried to find out why this is a kind of a draft which you are preparing, because this is not in order. So they told me nothing is in order now. One name is missing. A lot of things are missing now. Look at the background, the fluidity. Nothing is kind of fixed or permanent or orderly here. So these 11 designers which you see on the left side are from 9 countries. And at the bottom you can see this, you have to explore later about this whole project. And what if? That is the question each of these designers ask themselves by bringing in their design ideas for a product. Sport Studio Barcelona is the one who created this whole thing. I mean, the gallery space and every other designers bringing in their products and their contributions. When you scroll down, you can see that gallery itself, and we have a small video here which gives you an idea of the space and the thoughts and the designs put in by each of these designers. Let's watch the video now. If you go to the opening page of the website itself, can you, yeah, this is also fine. You can see the Sport Studio has come up with this imagined gallery in a no man's place. And all the other designers have come and conversed with their ideas to reset and push that button to give us some idea of what could be imagining for uncertain times. Can we go to the what if page at the beginning of the website? Home page, yeah. At the bottom, what if? Students, you should explore this because these 11 designers have also reached out to a lot of students and designers across the world. As you go down, you can see their contribution also. And what is wonderful is each of them have given a description of how they got ahead, how they worked, how they imagined, and how they came with their products. This could be huge for you to get clues on how to do your designs in these uncertain times when we discover the theme, converge, reset. And let me tell you, one of the studios here, Soft Geometry in USA. I am the director of Soft Geometry India. That is how I came to know about this project. This is one of the best projects, virtual, which happened during the COVID times. And I wish all of you wonderful insights into this website through explorations and deep research into each of these designers and their approaches. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, Architect Jabin, for sharing on Imagine and Daniel sharing on tiny houses. So I think it kind of brings us to two spectrum of things, whether it's the sake of practicality or the sake of understanding how creative concept can live through us and resonate with a larger audience. So this question might sound a bit offensive, but there is a saying, I don't know how true that is, that schools are here to kill creativity. I don't know to what extent, because thank God I went through school and I'm gonna do my PhD later on, but I still think I'm very creative. School did not kill my creativity, but that is the case for a lot of other places and people. I don't know how widespread this is, but so in your perspective, Daniel and Jabin, can you share with me, how do we keep that passion for creativity and curiosity going on, right? Like Daniel, I mean, I'm not saying that this is an age thing, but Jabin, you said you've been practicing for 40 years. Daniel, you said you're 59. So how do you keep this fire and this passion going? Because the thing is, the students today from the millennials and the Gen Zs live in a very different world compared to where their predecessors are. So how do we keep ourselves going, you know, especially when you wake up one day, there's a pandemic, you wake up the next day, there's a war, you wake up the next day, half of Australia was flooded. So how do we keep our heads up in such difficult times? I mean, this has nothing to do with the competition. I'm just wondering what kind of words of encouragement you can give us before we dive into the projects that you want to show us on what we can do for the awards. Yeah. Daniel, would you like to take it first?
Okay, I definitely do not think that the education you get in school is going to kill your creativity. I think creativity and imagination basically resides in yourself. And in today's world, I think we have so many different sources of information and different sources of ways you can actually improve your education apart from what you get in the classroom. So I think it's a matter of your own inquisitiveness and also the people and your upbringing and all that, and your own personal belief. I think as architects, we are subjected to a lot of information every day and all that. But each and every one of us must be steadfast bold, and have a strong belief in what you are doing as part of your ways of contribution in this profession. I think that's how I see it. So I definitely don't see school as being killing off the creativity. Yeah, and
Alright.
for what you said about all these things that's going on around and all that, I believe no matter what we as architect we're going to be designing the built environment. We got to keep it positive. And we got to understand that some of this setback is temporary, and some of this can be overcome. And that's why we need to converge all our effort, creativity to help the government, to help businesses, and to build a more how do you say, practical ways, to stay away and avoid the floodplains and things like that. Because we definitely cannot fight the nature all the time and expect to win. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for understanding that we won't win all the battles. That is very important. Thank you, Daniel. Jabin, what's your perspective on creativity and cultivating that creativity and curiosity?
I do believe that schools kill creativity, but I also believe that it's not the mentors or the lecturers or any of that system which kills the creativity, but the students themselves. They shouldn't let you. And it's funny, like me and my husband, we wanted to start a college of architecture. And I wanted to be to be right in the city. Because his perspective was we have to expose the students to maximum of development what's happening. And my approach was that no, we have to protect them and give them their space. So this is actually, in a way, summarizing this. I think schools don't kill creativity if we understand that schools are to back up creativity rather than, kind of discipline creative college. The purpose of the college or our tuition should be to test their creative ideas and back them up, give them confidence and give them the drive to go ahead and do it. And it is for the students largely to pursue that, because the teachers, the system, they can only approach a group of people from an organizational point of view. For each of the students to get what they want, it's up to them. So that is one thing I want to talk, when it comes to creativity in students.
Thank you. Thank you both for satisfying me and humoring me with your perspective on creativity. Because for those who don't know, I'm also a part-time lecturer. I'm an educator as well. I don't teach design, but I teach media studies. So to me, I'm always just wondering what's going on in other regions. But anyway, so for the last 10 minutes of our segment, Daniel has prepared examples of plausible and non-plausible projects. So I will leave it to Daniel to walk us through what we can explore or what we should explore. I mean, it's a non-exhaustive list, do take note. And Jabin did say you come here to not listen to us. So the idea is we show you what we think and then you see if it makes sense and if it applies to your creative process. So over to you, Daniel, to share the projects. Yeah.
Moving along, as anything in life, journey begins with the first step, as you said, yeah. But he didn't tell us which direction. So I think Simon Cowell's American Talent Show said that for a singer, it's very important her to pick the right song, showcase the power of her voice, the range, Yeah. So for architecture students, I think it is very important that you pick the right project that you are going to showcase. So I think this is something that should not be too large, technical and complex. And I think it's best that it is something that is truly live in and is passionate about. Project that will obviously fits the theme of religion and that is close to your heart. I mean, we must truly believe that moving forward, your proposal will help the people and the community by resetting, by changing our way of life, going different direction, and be more mindful about what kind of building, towns and cities that we're building. Yeah. So reset doesn't mean to go backward. I mean, to me, reset basically to understand where we are right now and see that we may have to change direction and rethink and reimagine, as what I attempt to do as well. Yeah. So I'll start by just giving my personal view of some of the by the process of elimination, some of the non-possible projects that I will advise against. I mean, in this example here, you see the large-scale city planning kind of. I think this is too big, too large for the students to handle at this stage of their life. So I would suggest to move to something that is smaller scale and more manageable. Another example of large and technologically complex kind of project. We ourselves as judges, I mean, we may not have the use that to judge such kind of project. You know, obviously, I think the next two slides basically showing a project that is out of this world, I mean, in the outer space, and beneath the water, underwater project. Again, these are exploratory projects that are signed and requires very, very advanced thinking. I mean, we don't know a lot of the conditions, prerequisites of the design for such kind of projects. Then lastly, I mean, large-scale engineering projects. I mean, this to the engineers. So I think such kind of project has very limited scope in terms of creativity for the students. I would love to see students tackling smaller scale, intimate scale project, something that they can really flesh out their imagination and be very focused on theme. Because I think every year in this AYDA Award, we have a theme, and there is a criteria of scoring which are made known to the educators and the students. So I think that is a formula I think you can consider. So moving on, I give my own opinion about some of the possible projects. This one I will go in a little bit more detail. All right. The first slide you see is psychiatric center. I think I've gone bonkers, but I'll show you I've taken my pills. Now, mental depression, mental health, is a silent killer. And it's affecting a lot of people in the world. And many undiagnosed suicidal tendencies and things like that. So we need to recognize, and I think a medical facility like that, even an oncology center or something like that, has a lot of basically learn and do research about the process of healing for the mental health people suffering depression and things like that, and then transfer that into a built environment for the purpose of them seeking help. I think this is something that I think have a lot of opportunity for students to go into a process and then use their imagination, design a building both externally and internally show the spaces and things like that where it will support the healing of mental health. The next slides here shows beachfront multi-family luxurious house. You may think at first glance this contradictory to what I've shown before in terms of tiny houses, but this is an opportunity to try to explore the design of an architect, a famous architect like Ingalls, who talk about hedonistic sustainability. Yeah, so we cannot deny the way for them to celebrate their lives and things like that. But as an architect, we can design it in a sustainable way by using creative forms, materials, and do it in a sustainable way where the rich can celebrate their wealth, but at the same time in a sustainable way. Yeah. So the third example, of course, this two slides shows a building in the desert. Now we all know that the desert is a harsh kind of environment. Yeah. So I think it's a challenge for human to live and thrive in such a kind of a harsh environment. So of course, as designer, as architect, if we are able to design something where humans can survive, thrive, such kind of a harsh environment, I think that would be an interesting process. And how it impacts the form, the way of life. How do we actually get water, store them, conserve them, and use them in creative ways, and then that in way impacts the environment where we live. And then this is also in line with the non-wasteful kind of attitude that I was talking about. We have a lot of sport complexes that are purpose-built buildings. Obviously, the sporting events that goes to houses, but in normal times, when nothing is going on, buildings are basically white elephants. They are not fit to do. So I would suggest as one of the possibilities of buildings to consider such kind of buildings, such kind of I would say non-traditional sport complexes, whereby at times when there is sporting events going on, certain part of it at least can be transformed for use in a day-to-day basis. Take for example, the airport in Singapore. Yeah? The airport in Singapore is designed and built in a way where it is not just a terminal building for people who are arriving and departing by air, but it's also visiting, shopping, and destinations for individuals and family. So I think that is one way of looking into it, using traditional more way than one. Yeah. So another example of a multi-purpose sports, right? Lastly, another possible complex in my mind is the zero energy building, like EV. Now, we are all very conscious about energy nowadays because we can't have enough of it. Yeah? And we have new movement about electrical vehicles and all this. And the automakers are telling us that that's the solution in terms of zero emission and all that. But they're building bigger and bigger cars that requires bigger and bigger energy to operate. So while they will tell you that that's the way forward, I'm not totally convinced that that's the solution. In fact, I believe to solve the transportation issue and also the energy issue regarding vehicle is to encourage people to use mass rapid transportation systems like the train, the buses, yeah, that are run by electricity. Then for the architects, of course, we are very interested in more energy building, whereby the building actually generates energy by renewable methods, solar, wind, geothermal energy sources. And then, of course, the use of the building itself requires it to expend energy. So what is a zero energy building? Zero energy building is a building that uses less or equal to the amount of energy that it generates by means of better envelope design, solar radiation, and therefore the cooling loads and things like that. So there's three situations with obviously in terms of the design of the building, the impact form on the design of the building. Number one is obviously how is generate. Second is how is all this energy, obviously by the density batteries, things like that. And then thirdly, how are these energy in such a way whereby you will not require additional supplement from the grid to run and operate. And this is another one whereby it actually has ways for the architect to be very clear how it affects the form that the building will take. Like for example, in this image, huge secondary roof that is obviously, because of course it doesn't show in this picture, but housing the PV cells on the roof to generate the renewable energy. This energy is now stored for the night and then can be used during the daytime when the building operated. These are some of the examples of possible projects. I hope gives the students and the educator some examples whereby can encourage more creative, imaginative thinking among students in tackling this converge and that.
Okay, thank you, Architect Daniel, for sharing on the plausible project. So before I go into a bunch of questions, I know Jabin started the ball rolling on design thinking, and both of you are probably very eager to discuss what is design thinking and how it can be applied in the students' work. So let's start with Daniel, and then we'll go back to Jabin, then we'll wrap it up. Yeah, so Daniel.
Yeah, I think to add on to what Architect started talking about design thinking process. So I would like to encourage students to read up and apply the 7 key critical thinking. And these are analysis, interpretation, inference, explanation, self-regulation, open-mindedness, and problem solving. And to develop and familiarize yourself with critical thinking, which in all cases will withstand the test of time and the test of criticism. Because as architect, we must always think from different angles. Whatever that comes with, be mindful that we will always face them. So, but if you are supported by the critical thinking process, you will always have the confidence to be able to defend your design in such a way where it is not personal, but you kind of use the 7 ways that I mentioned to explain to people how the whole thinking process works. And the final design is a result of that process. Yeah. So I think something that students need to develop and cultivate at a very early stage of his or her education, and bring that process into the real world as you transition from academic to real practice. So lastly, I want to add on is a few conversion factor affecting architects, which is existing now, but will be more pronounced in the future, the near future. Number one, specializations. Yeah. Now, as a managing director, I business development and things like that. And every time we try to pitch a project, the client will ask us first send our profile, which showcase our track record. Now, nobody is going to give you a job or give us a job for a building, let's say like a sport complex, if you have never done one before. Yeah, so you will see the architecture profession nowadays, there are more and more firms, especially the bigger one, going into specialization. You have people like NPA, you have HOK, all this going into specializing in healthcare, for example, specializing in sport complex, specializing in airport design and things like that. So this is something for students to think about when you transition into the real world, where you want to work for one of these firms and you specialize, or you want to start your own small company that you will be doing smaller projects where you can become more of a general practitioner. It is going in the direction like the medical field, where doctors specialize. And kid you not, I mean, this is part of business development, and it's part of for us to actually, for some architects to actually gain more traction and gain more fees. If you're a specialist, you can charge more. Yeah. The second thing I want to talk about is that I mentioned it earlier, is for all of you students who probably are studying in your hometown, in your home country and things like that. Now, there come a time after you graduate, yeah, depending on the economic situation and things like that in your own home country and home city, like that, you may venture out and work overseas like what I'm doing, whereby you will face with a lot of new conversion factors. Yeah, you will face a new language, a new culture, a new government regulations, and that things that you're not accustomed to when you are studying in your home country, home city. So working overseas for many of us is becoming a reality. And we got to be more mobile. I mean, that also ties with the tiny homes and mobile homes kind of a team that we talk about. And then lastly is acquiring soft skills to complement your design ability. I can tell you for sure, architects cannot live on design ability. Yeah, it's got to be in some way. I mean, this is direct opposite bipolar to what I just mentioned, but in a slightly different angle. I mean, as architect, we need to develop presentation skill, selling skills. For example, if you build furnitures and you call the chair that you built, a recliner chair, you will sell that for $500. But if you give it a name like zero gravity chair, you can sell that for $5,000. Yeah, so it's all about branding. It's all about sales pitch and all that. So I think these are some of the soft skills that will need to have. And as students, it's not too early for each and every one of you to kind of develop that. And also as part of the AYDA Awards requirement, you need to present your project. You need to do some selling, but you need to do it in the right way where your design skill, not focus through like a tourist guide, yeah, like some of the participants used to do. So yeah, these are some of the things that I would like to share.
Yeah.
Students in their critical thinking process in tackling this task if they want to participate.
Yeah. Thank you, Daniel, for sharing. So I would like to hear from Jabin. What's your perspective? See, Daniel mentioned a lot of things. What's your perspective on design thinking, specialization, and also soft skills development for the students? Yeah, Jabin, over to you. You were smiling just now, so I assume you have things to say, whether you agree or disagree. Yeah.
I completely disagree.
Okay. Do share, do tell, do enlighten us.
I completely disagree, and we should be happy because what I'm so happy about today's discussion is like it's like a real two different ways of looking at design. So as I told you before, design is, yes, there are a lot of analytics and such skills you need. But as I told you, design is about imagination and dreaming. And then you go to a school and get your ideas backed up, your creativity backed up. The moment we give more importance to other areas, we are slowly becoming architectural engineers. We are talking about commercial design, not space design. So for me, design thinking has to come from three. H is what is the popular thinking: head, heart, and hands. It has to be a crafted thinking. I will go one step more and say that it is three I's thinking, like intuition, inspiration, and then also about intelligent deliverance. Okay, it has to be feasible. These three I's backed by three H's, and all Mr. Daniel, architect, and Daniel said about that 7 is so valuable and important, but that is our backup system. As architects and designers, you have to be, I think, more creative, imaginative. One more thing is about your second point, I forgot. Let me just
specialization. When we graduate and enter the industry, yeah.
I think specialization, yes, there are people who are specialized, and if you think that you are so keen to go in one direction, you can. Otherwise, your specialization should be to be a human being. Your specialization should be about understanding man, the Homo sapien species we are, and what we are kind of made up of basically. So that understand humanities. And about, I think, the specialization itself, I think the only specialization we need is to know how to run fast, whether it is war or COVID or pandemic. Get your things, your family, and be on the run. So this is the kind of uncertain times we are in. So I think it is resilient thinking with a lot of imagination, power, hope, and promise which we can share with our fellow beings, which will see us through. But then, as you also kind of accuse me, I am a little poetic, I am a little holistic. And I think what design is about is that. But yes, all these things have its practical side also. So there, what architect Daniel was saying should definitely be kind of looked into. They are important. But my focus would definitely be on some other set of skills and specialization.
Thank you, Jabin, and thank you, Daniel. So what is absolutely, I absolutely love about this session is I brought two of you here with an attempt to give students answers, but turns out we give them more questions than answers, which is great, because it triggers you to think whether you're on the right track. Because a lot of times in life, it is not like a multiple choice question. There's no A, B, C, D in life. Everything is subjective. Everything is up to your own determination, opportunity, and how you raise yourself as a designer. And the idea is that I didn't invite Architect Jabin and Architect Daniel to come here to give us one answer, which is great, because you guys give me two polarized answers, which is great. Two sets of answer sheet, to your design career, to your design life. And I want everyone here to realize that it is impossible for you to emulate Daniel entirely. It's impossible for you to emulate Jabin entirely. But the idea is we learn from what we can resonate with them, what we agree with them, and then we turn it into part of our design process in taking on AYDA and your design career moving on. So yeah, so enough of the discussion. I will now open the floor. I have some questions too, and I will open the floor to Q&A. So whoever have questions, this is a great time to ask, because it's not every day I get to catch them, and then lock them down with me for a few hours to talk about this kind of thing. So over to Q&A.
All right, let's get everyone on board. Hi, okay, let's go with questions. Let's straight away dive into this. First of all, can our judges explain the relationship between convergence and reset, since it's in the theme? Yeah, maybe Jabin, you want to start first? Yeah, how do you see this, the relationship? How do we blend it into like one design concept? Oh no, you're muted, I think. Can't hear you. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have seen at the start, converging, the definition itself is to move towards one single point or towards each other. And I've told that, the way it could be done best is when you diverge and think about different options, solutions we might have for a single question, bring it together as if into a melting pot and, come up with an answer. Now, this converged ideas, which we are putting into the melting pot to come with a beautiful solution. How does reset do a role there? What's the role of the word reset? What exactly does reset itself mean? Reset, the definition is to set anew, start differently. And even in the case of like the binary devices like a phone or an iPad or a computer we have, reset is about going to zero, the state of zero. So unless we go into that state of zero, which for me as designers should be completely take away all preconceived notions and have a clean, welcome state of mind to accept things or solutions which we have not considered, think out of the box. Then only these ideas which we are bringing in together with our converged thoughts can work. Just like a system wherein we are putting a new application. These ideas cannot work on already running systems or beliefs or notions we have. We have to have a clean reset position of zero to imbibe this and go on. And even if maybe we somehow try going with a little bit of adjustment, sooner or later, we are going to be stuck. So here, together with the scene of the pandemic, we have an entirely different situation. And so let us be ready for an entirely different new approach, get reset our thoughts, and then put our converged thoughts to work on for a single focused solution, whatever it may be, our briefs may be. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Jabin. Let's hear from Daniel before I summarize my own version of the answer. Daniel, what's the relationship? How do you see this? Yeah.
Okay, I think a very good way of understanding the main theme of these AYDA Awards about conversion and reset, as the way architect Jabin put it, is to look at it on the opposite side. So to understand converge, then you have to study the meaning of diverge, which is the direct opposite. Yeah. So as I mentioned before, I think conversion is by nature implies pluralistic and inevitability also. Yeah. So I feel that there are many things that are happening around us in this world. So I'm talking more from slightly different than architect Jabin, who is talking about the design, more the internalized process and a more holistic process of design. Whereas I'm looking at things architecturally from a more external point of view. I'm saying that throughout my examples that I've given earlier, that there are a lot of things that are happening in this world. Many of these are beyond our control. Many of this happens, like for example, the conflict between Russia and Ukraine now is beyond our control. I mean, whatever happens, the impact of it to Singapore, to India, to Iran, or whatever, is something that we have to face with. I mean, as a result of that, we are seeing many things like inflation skyrocketing, fuel prices, food prices, used car prices, and things like that. So as designer, especially in the education stage in your life for many of the students, I really want to tell the students that at this point, as an architect, you are designing most of the time for other people, unless you're designing your own house, which sometimes you can't even control that because you share the house with your wife and kids and husband or whatever. Yeah. So you're designing most of the time for other people. And by doing so, you really need to understand the life of people in general, not just about yourself. I mean, you got to understand your client's needs. You got to understand the context of the site itself. You must understand the culture, the place where you are designing. So a lot of these factors are converging factors. These are traditionally converging factors, and then added on with new factors like the pandemic, you know, the conflict, war, and all that. I think you face with a diversity of factors that's going to affect your design. Yeah, I think you will learn all about the traditional factors that affects design from your school, but by having that broader understanding as an architect of what is going on around you in this world, then I think coupled with that, you will have a better understanding of what your design truly means. And then using what architect Jabin mentioned, internalizing the whole process, not starting with any preconceived idea would be good, because I think that plays in with the reset team too. I mean, I look at it that reset is a necessity. I mean, and also architect Jabin talking about going back to zero. I'll put it in a slightly different way. I don't see it as going back exactly to zero, because we learn from our past. I mean, history is a very good lesson to us. I mean, we've gone through the history of architecture. We've seen how the Romans and the Greeks and all that, how they design, you know, and all that. But doesn't mean we copy or we emulate them in totality. To me, I feel it is very important that we understand, we use what we learn from history and in the past, and then couple with the technology that we have today to do things more efficiently, faster, and better. Put that all together, and also the process of your own internalized mentality, and then come up with a design solution that meets all these different factors. I mean, design to me is about prioritizations also. I mean, there are so many things that you need to comply with, but not every single factor you can fulfill. So when you're designing for a client, a developer, a government agency, or whatever, yeah, I think you need to really understand the needs, the context, and then set out the priorities, and then go along and fulfill them one by one. At the same time, using not only just your design skill, but your other soft skill that I mentioned before, using your ability to persuade, convince that your design solution or your design proposal is the best. Because I think architects like us go through a lot of process of selection before you even get the job. And I mean, the students, you probably get to choose, maybe get to choose the project. But in real life, architects seldom get to choose our projects. So we are subjected to a very stringent, strict process of selection. And if we are lucky to be selected, we still have to prove our ability and earn our keeps. So I think, as I was saying in the past, just now, that I wish to see that students, apart from developing an internalized process of design, as what architect Jabin mentioned, also needs to develop other skills like soft skills and the skill of presentation, the power of persuasion. I mean, look at, for example, I give you Mr. Colin, architect Colin Sia, which I think in the past years we have invited, AYDA has invited Mr. Sia as a presenter. I mean, his presentation was really awesome. And to me, the thing that I took most from his presentation, not only as him as an accomplished designer, but his power of presentation and persuasion. I mean, he could persuade his client to not only allow him to design the building, to design the interior of the building, but even to the uniform of the employees working there, even the plates and the bowls that is used, the utensils that is used for that place. Now that really reflects Mr. Sia's power of persuasion in order to provide a comprehensive design solution overall. Yeah, so that's something I think the architect needs to look at into the future, whereby you don't lose ground to other disciplines like the engineers and others that start to invade into the design realm that truly belongs to the architect and interior designers. Yeah. So I hope this point is helpful and to the students and to the educator too.
Thank you, Wolf. So in a simpler way, let me put it together. So the idea of Converge is that the world is actually a lot smaller and more connected than we can imagine. So that's how Converge came about. We said here, I guess there's two ways to look at it. Number one is alive after the pandemic. How do we encourage people to start anew or jumpstart a new life? Or you can look at reset as in solving a problem through a spatial design. And these problems happen to be similar in your region and other countries, so that we can converge, we can share the same solution. Because converge is when two things cross, and when you cross path, you share, right? So in a more simple way, you put it that way. And in a more bimbotic way, in my ways, I would say, like, you first look at your shopping checklist. Now that you have a shopping checklist, you go shopping. And then as you shop, you will discover what you need. And then when you bring them all home, you put them together and you make it a meal. So that's where Converge is, which is a melting pot. So I think what Jabin and Daniel means is you really need to first understand what is going on in your neighborhood and then see how you can solve these things, in a sense. Or yeah, Daniel, yes.
I think in your shopping list, you may have certain things that is belonging to the one category and some that belongs to the needs category too. Yep. I think in the reset team, I'm basically trying to focus on really the status of the world that we are living in today. And I think this reset, sorry, what happened?
Huh? What happened? No, we can hear you.
You can hear me, okay?
Yeah.
All right. I think I'm trying to focus on the necessity in our context today that we need to reset. I think we cannot fool ourselves by going back, living in the way we used to do in the 80s, in the 90s, where we have abundance of everything. I think you look at the world we are living in today, and the need to reset is very, very obvious. There are people in the US, not just in the US, in many parts of the world, living out of cardboards on the street, and that's definitely not the way to live, lah. So, and yet there is also the gaps between those who have and those who have not, and that gap is a chasm. I mean, it's huge. So we need to look at ourselves. We need, as I said, what architect Jabin's obviously focus on, look at ourselves, and then look at what is going on around us, and really, from a designer point of view, is how to reset this. And reset doesn't mean going back to the old ways. Reset means moving forward, but with the intention, with the knowledge of what is going on around us, and making sure that we do not be wasteful, we do not abuse what we have. And I also said, we live in this world, we share this world with everyone, with animals and plants and all that. So they have a right to live too. And the way we live doesn't mean we go along and do harmful things to all the others who share the world with us. So we need to examine life moving forward.
Examine life. Thank you, Daniel. Jabin, anything to add before we move to the next question?
Yes, I think between the two of us, I think we have covered what convergence and reset means.
Yeah, okay,
Our
great.
past gives us a lot of clue, and the present gives us a lot of challenges. Together with a good knowledge and the readiness to look at it anew, we have to go ahead. That's it. I think it's very nicely covered.
All right, thank you. So to both of you, the next question talks about conceptualization. The conceptual stage is very essential to projects, especially in AYDA, the students when they're preparing. So the question is, how do we come up with meaningful concepts that people can relate to? Yeah, what's your formula? Yeah, what's your to-go formula? Yeah, who wants to go first? Jabin?
Jabin, you want to go first?
Yeah, maybe. So I think in the beginning, I have actually told that how imagination, intuition, all this will have to take up a more important role than the process itself. Because at the end of the day, your design is about looking at a set of briefs which come with the project, and then finding your own meaning and answer towards that. So for example, even in this competition, I think from what Mr. Architect Daniel was saying, you should be able to put fantastic presentations with beauty and everything, and you have to sell your design. But the other thing is, what are you selling? What are you persuading? Can you actually persuade a design which is not really good with your presentation skills? How moral it is? And here, students, I think you have a big advantage. Students, kids, you are at your prime creative phase of life. So whatever ignorance which we might try to define sometimes is to your advantage to look at something and to come up with an entirely new solution. And the biggest example, the biggest inspiration for you may be to read the story of Maya Lim. Vietnam Memorial Competition which happened in US. Vietnam, the war and what it did to US and the entire world is like huge. You know, nobody can look at it without an emotional kind of tie there. Almost all the famous architects, not only from US, from across the world, with their presentation skills, everything had put their solutions. And this third year student in US, third year architecture student, saw this advertisement or something about it in a newspaper, and she did a design, which I'm sure it might be an A4 or an A3 sheet, wherein she put an idea. And basically, it was a simple single wall cutting deep into the earth. And she could beat every single famous architect and their presentations. There was huge commotion on this. How can you give it to a student? They tried everything, debated over 2 years. Finally, it went to her. And let me tell you something. She was called in multiple times to compromise, to let her, asking, can you just let us combine this part with the design of the other architect so that we can have a maybe a symbiotic kind of design? She said, the other design is good. My design is also good. So if you want to use my design, it has to be entirely like mine, the conviction, which has come from her concept of knowing how human beings, sapiens, social animals, capable of, emoting. All our basic needs, finally, dreams, fears, and everything is same. Whether it is a commercial complex or a small house, it is being used by people. How they respond. That understanding, and if you have the concept to bring in something which is like beautiful, and if you have the conviction to go ahead with it, you are a winner. Thank you.
Thanks, Jabin. Daniel, what do you think? The idea of coming up concepts that people can relate to, how do we get there?
Okay, let me just say that I'm very glad Architect Jabin brought up the project regarding the Vietnam War Memorial, and that is to me a very strong and poetic and emotional design solution to that particular project. However, not all projects has such a strong opportunity for it to be grounded in the realms of emotion and things like that. So there are many projects that are basically trying to resolve a particular issues. For example, housing. For example, urban sprawling. For example, population density, congestion, and things like that. So I think whatever project that you as a designer are tackling, you need to understand the opportunity that the project itself presents, and how to conceptualize it in your mind using your own background, your own upbringing, your education, your exposure through the various means, even from the internet and all that, to try to come up with something that is different, something that really strike a chord with the client, with the owner of the project, and also from the point of view of the end user also. Yeah, and I think there are many ways, there are really many ways to look at how the concept can be derived. And I think it can be inspired through many ways. Through basically, you could be inspired by a poetry, you could be inspired by landscape, you can be inspired by a process of how certain things are made. For example, maybe if you're designing a factory or something like that, your architecture can be inspired by many of these things, how things are put together. It can be quite mechanical, but I think as an architect, you would remove that mechanical thing and then try to find something creative to express in terms of the form, the layout, the planning, and how things are, how the different parts all come together. Because there's a saying in architecture, the whole is more important than the sum of the parts. And I think as architecture students, we got to really be able to express ourselves through design, through the design language, design vocabulary, and through the means of drawings, models, and videos, walkthroughs, and things like that, to showcase your true design intention that comes internally. I think architect Jabin has a very good way of putting it, because we must realize, you know, the design is something quite personal. So I do very agree with the internalization process, but because we got to look at it that we are designing for others also, so there are a lot of external factors that we cannot run away from. We have to address them face on, address all this. And I think a good design always has to be looked at from various point of view. Internalization, the emotional, the poetic nature, how it actually is expression of yourself, an extension of yourself, but also then be able to fulfill all the other external criteria of who you're designing for and all that. So I think a successful design is never easy, and having a broad array of skills will definitely help you along the way to sell your design. I mean, you got to have a good, strong idea concept first, but at the same time, you also the success is also very, very dependent on your ability to showcase and also your power of persuasion to sell your ideas to your client. Yeah.
So I think what it boils down to, I think it's two things here. Number one is how much do you believe in the cause, which means the conviction, you know, how much do you believe in this problem or issue that you want to solve, right? Number one. And second is how do you then use this story, turn this conviction of yours into a story. For example, when you watch a movie, before you watch a movie, you would watch the trailer. So the trailer must touch your heart first, right? So you look at your concept like it's a movie trailer. So if your movie trailer doesn't move you, how it's going to move other people? So you first have to understand and believe in what you do. And then after that, you add on with all the processes our judges have mentioned to strengthen it into a full movie or movie trailer that you can touch people, that you can resonate with people. But the first step is, of course, yourself. So yeah, you want to start something on your own. And I think this leads to the next question. So over the years, you guys have been judging. What is the pattern of winning projects that you have observed that you can share with us? So, but before we go into your answer, I have one observation. Most of our winners in the past, I've been running AYDA for like 5-6 years now, they all have extremely personal and convicted cause in their design. And that helps them shine. Yeah. So other than that, what I'd ask Jabin and Daniel, what other patterns do you see in past year's winning project, whether it's national winners or international winners? Yeah, if you can share with us. Yeah. Over to Jabin, maybe? Yeah.
Yeah, okay then. So I'll tell you that I have seen that in AYDA, or maybe whenever you are having a powerful competition going on with talented students, that winning project has a core idea. That winning project has one single core idea which nobody can debate about. So that needn't be a big, path-changing idea or anything. It can be simple and beautiful, but there is a core idea which makes sense and connects. Let me tell you, all your people who are going to competing with you are all brilliant students. So just relax, be yourself, understand the project, and come with your strongest core idea on which you are going to do the foundation for your building. That one core idea is, I think, one of the biggest, thing which I've found as consistent in all winning entries. The second thing is that the winning entries don't give too many ideas. Like, it is like a very time-bound project. Some people get carried away with, maybe 10 ideas already, everything gets diluted. So your core idea, and then you're supporting 2-3 ideas, that is what makes a winning entry work, or, kind of impress the judges and everybody who is kind of doing this within this time frame. I also think that the winning entries have always taken note of the marks or the evaluation process, how the weightage is given. So within these two, I think that difference is made. Thank you.
Thank you, Jabin. Daniel, what do you think? What patterns have you seen? I remember there was this jaw-dropping project last year that you still talk about. Yeah. But anyway, what patterns have you observed?
Okay, I try to answer this in a slightly different way. Yeah, I think design is unlike other type of subject matter, where I don't think you can look at the past year's trend or past year's pattern and then think that by following in that footstep that you can be successful. I tend to agree with Architect Jabin that I think you got to have a core idea, a very strong core idea, and run and develop that, and then not be diluted along the way as you develop that. But at the same time, I don't agree that, like, for example, let's say in Singapore, for example, students are taught to take exam by going through the 10-year series, trying to learn how to take examination and try to guess or preempt the question. So I think the architectural design process doesn't quite work that way. I do feel that it is important that the students or the designer be very passionate about the project that they are doing. It has to be something that really resonates with them very strongly, and that they see that there is a need that the design solution that they are proposing does help to solve the problems that they have identified. Yeah, I mean, we're talking about conversion here. I think the strong thing is to identify exactly what factors, what issues that is converging in the context of where you are, perhaps, and where you chose your project to be based. And then through a process of research and through a process of being inspired by yourself, what you hear, what you see, through your senses, and be inspired in a creative way to try to solve that problem and give a form to it, give a physical proposal to it. What I don't like in the past was students behaving and presenting their project and showcasing in their project in such a way where they are like acting like these tourist guides, where they walk us through their project in a way like we are tourists, like the judges are tourists. I think it's got to be much more than that. I think a successful project, I won't say a winning project, it's definitely a successful project. The judges got to be able to see and feel that it comes very strongly from the students' experience, exposure, education, background, cultures, and all that. Yeah, and then at the same time, using that together, coupled with the design skill, design vocabulary that they pick up from school, and expressing them in a creative way, and putting all this together in a way where maybe others may not thought about it, like the cliche of saying thinking out of the box. Yeah, so it's very difficult to explain how a winning project would look like and all that. But I think it definitely has that element of surprise, the element of just for example, I mean, there was a Chinese student a few years ago that was very poetic, that he was inspired by Chinese art like painting and poems, and he was inspired, and it was very relevant for him to be inspired by that, because the project was located in an artist village or region or something like that. So he picked something that is quite relevant, and at the same time he feels very strongly about, and putting it in such a way where it reflects in his final design solution. So as a judge myself, I would like to see the process of thinking through the work itself, not just the final presentation. So through the sketches itself, how the design actually developed to the final product. And I think when the judges are able to see that thinking process, they would be more sold, they would be more supportive. And by doing that, I think it's probably will become more successful. Whether that particular project wins or not is a whole different thing. Yeah, but at least from a success point of view, I think if you have that element, I can consider it as a good project.
All right, thank you, Daniel and Jabin. For that, I'll wrap up. I think it's about time. So wrapping up, okay, so on top of being a good design, you also need element of surprise to show people conviction, how you feel about a particular element or the design concept or story, and then walk the judges through, not just like tour guides, but deep dive into different parts of your design to show how thoughtful you are when you're planning your work. And lastly, of course, showing relevance to people. Remember here, students and also mentors, judges here are extremely experienced. It's not like they're not architects and designers. They're all architects and interior designers. They know their work really well. So a lot of times you want to woo them in a perspective that they may have missed, that, hey, there's something new that I can learn from students, and that will definitely push you to the next level, not just in the AYDA challenge, but also in your upcoming career. So for that, I know you may have a lot of questions. We'll set up channels. Our local teams will be all available to answer more questions. And throughout the year, I will be breaking down the theme further for everyone to learn more. So for now, yes, Daniel?
I just want to add one more thing.
Sure.
Since you brought up about the projects of the past years,
yeah,
I remember there was a particular submission who very effectively plays on the emotion of the judges, whereby the project was located in a war-torn area, and he was playing videos about how the war is savage, and then the talk about lives being lost and destruction and all that, which is all fine. I think he has a very strong premise. And then finally, I think the solution was an underground solution in terms of a place for children to celebrate their childhood and things like that. Yeah, so I think it resonated with quite a few of the judges. It didn't quite work with me because I too felt that it was a solution that did not take the seriousness of the issue of war and all that. But like I say, it would work on some people, may not work on all. But be it, you still got to make the presentation in such a way where it would resonate firstly with yourself in a very, very passionate and attached way before you can sell your project to others. I think that's very, very important.
All right. Thanks, Daniel. Thanks, Jabin. So if you make it through the preliminaries and national finals, you will see Jabin and Daniel judging you at the international level. I will be with you throughout the way. I am the program advisor of AYDA. So on behalf of Nippon Paint and AYDA Awards, I would like to thank again Jabin and Daniel taking your time and everyone, joining us. And because of timing, for those who can't, you can always watch on YouTube. You can share with your lecturers and friends as well to watch this particular introduction of this year's theme on YouTube. So for that, let's say goodbye to everyone. Stay safe, and I'll see you guys real soon. All right. I know, Jabi, you need to run, so I'll see you soon. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much for your time. Thanks, Daniel.
See you, Architect Jabin. See you, Brendan.
Yeah, let's meet physically soon, hopefully. Yeah. Bye, everyone.